Good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday. I can't believe we are officially live for the first installment of a brand new live stream coming to you this school year to hopefully get you set for your day, persevering through the week. We have a lot in store. Welcome to the Wednesday Wake Up. We are here to get your Wednesday start off, kind of persevere through the hurdle of it being halfway through the week, and Talk Shop give you a lot of information, not only on the team, but strategies to help you be successful as you head into your Wednesday. We'll be right back, but this is the time to grab a cup of coffee. Make sure you set up this live stream somewhere where you could hear it, maybe as you're getting dressed, making lunches in the morning, or just mentally getting your mind ready for the wonderful day ahead. We will be right back, and I'm going to sip this warm coffee as we get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ray Hughart, and I am here live with the one and only Jeffrey Gargas.
One and only.
One and only.
I'm good. I was thinking about your warm coffee comment, and I'm like, well, most people like hot coffee, but I'm wondering if you did the same thing that I do, which is I like wait, I like try to time it up perfectly. But then I also like to be on here early to make sure I'm here to check. And so it's super hot when I come downstairs, but by the time we actually go live, I'm like, it's warm. It's all right.
I would say that I am in a good spot with my coffee heat.
It's a good one.
It's definitely not hot. I made it like an hour ago, so let's be clear. But it's warm. It's warm.
Mine's warm enough. It's not. Do you want? Are we cheersing? Is that what you were going for?
I had a moment where I was like,
weird. I don't think you cheers with coffee.
I know. I was like, do you want to touch it? And then I'm like, oh, you can't. You're through the screen. Sorry.
It's very warm. This is a great show.
Yeah, we're really
great show. I'm so glad you're all here. I love your. We've talked about this. I think at least once, if not multiple times, on back in the days, the old days of Daily Drop-In. Your Teach Better green mug. I went with a throwback.
Ooh.
Which you'll note actually connects to one of our featured things later on, which is kind of fun. So
I'm very excited for that. Yeah, I love it that you guys are here in the comments. It's so fun. Obviously, you can catch this as a recording, as a Teach Better Talk podcast episode, but currently we are live streaming now every single Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. We have a lot of friends jumping in for the party. So good morning, Nikki, Megan, Brianna, Debbie, Brad, Katie. It's just going to go on and on and on. We love seeing this group early in the morning. And this is why we're here, Jeff. I mean, not that it's not great to catch up with you, but our goal with this was to kind of kick off your Wednesday with a little spark of positivity, bring your friends together, bring your PLN together, and say, hey, you got this. Let's get through this week like the strong educators we are.
I'm just excited. Alex just showed up in the comments and is letting us know that he can attend this because one of his classes got moved. Oh, it doesn't start until next week. Oh, never mind. Then he won't be able to. Never mind, Alex. I got excited for a minute. I'm excited for this week at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And he can catch this after the fact. All these recordings are saved wherever they stream. So you can go back to Facebook, back to Teach Better Team on YouTube and catch these, or listen on the podcast. So you got lots of options.
I was going to touch on that last part because I'm not sure if Alex is aware, but we have a podcast, Alex, that these go onto. So you can check it out on the podcast as well. So it's on all your podcast platforms.
Yeah, I don't think this is Alex's first rodeo. We got some loyal Teach Better Team family members, many of which I see their names popping up in the comments. And I think they kind of get this. Like, I wanted to do a whole spiel of what's the Wednesday wake up? How are we going to do the show? And to be honest, I don't feel like a lot of the people in the comments care. They're like, yeah, we know the team. Like, you guys are live all the time. We got it.
I mean, as soon as it's like, oh, Jeff and Ray, okay, well, we'll lower those standards down a little bit and just be here.
I know. I will say at least Dr. Dave Schmitto, Katie Miglin, they're in the comments. So if you guys are looking for actual help, like just post, they'll see it.
Yeah, they're smart people you can talk to. Actually, everyone in the comments is smart.
So good. We do want to give a shout out to those of you that are getting your morning started. I know a lot of you are just filling your coffee, getting your Wednesday going. Or I know Dave is actually traveling. He's working with educators on behalf of the Teach Better team Teach Better team today. So there's a lot of different things I know that you guys have in your mornings, and we're thrilled to be some small part of your Wednesdays from now on.
Yeah, super excited. Yeah, and even if we're that little teeny small part, that's good enough for me. I love it. I really want every morning, every Wednesday morning, to play the commercial, the Geico commercial with the camel.
I know.
Dave, you know what day it is? Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? It's hump day. Hump day. Like, I love that commercial.
This is literally the only reason why I didn't want this show to be on Wednesday, because you were like, yeah. And then we could play that commercial. And I'm like, Jeff, it's June. So I'm hoping by August you forget.
No, the commercial's like 10 years old, and it still lives in my head rent free every day.
No, I know.
Every Wednesday, at least.
You came up with this idea as we were brainstorming our live streams for kicking off in the fall. And you're like, yeah, so we can celebrate Hump Day together every single week. I'm like, hopefully you forget about that idea.
I'm not sure if anybody's paying attention to the comments, but we just received the highest of honors that this is just like a morning brain break at this point. So we need to get on track here, right?
Terrible.
Let's get organized.
Well, I will say, Jeff, why don't we kick off our morning with maybe an overview of where we're headed, and then I would love to catch up with you. We didn't talk, I don't think, more than 4 seconds yesterday.
It was a weird day yesterday. We didn't speak much.
I know. Are you avoiding me? Are you mad at me? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah. Wow. Do you want to break down where we're going, and then I'll talk about why I don't like you.
Share your grievances. Sure, that sounds good. All right, friends, we are on our Wednesday wake up. This is going to be a weekly Wednesday live stream at 7 a.m. Eastern. We are excited to not only welcome you into the week, but feature different team members to be a part of getting your morning started with success. We obviously love that you're here in the comments. As many as you know, we're streaming here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. So you can always catch us here every single Wednesday morning. We do have a lot of segments in store, but our whole goal of our Wednesday wake up was to connect with our team, right? For those of you who caught Sunday's show with Brad Hughes, that will be a show where we kind of welcome in a lot of different guests. We talked about panels when we were live all together on Sunday. We have some plans for how the discussions are going to be facilitated there. This year, Jeff, really came down to us wanting to get to know our audience better, us wanting to kind of have those giggle-filled moments, and also just like really give you some alignment in your week. Sometimes on Wednesday mornings, we are already discombobulated. The alarm's difficult to not snooze, and we know that there's going to be some struggles going forward in getting through these long weeks ahead, but our work is so important. We want to make sure that all of you know the support that you have behind you. So we're hoping for this show to add some of that, some of those reminders to you each week.
Yeah, and I love all that. The way you said that, was in my mind. I was thinking, like Monday and Tuesday, if you're having a rough time, to kind of like, you can like chalk it out and be like, well, it's the beginning of the week, so like I'm not quite there yet. Like Thursday, Friday, you can chalk it out to like, well, I'm already checking out for the weekend, so like that's why. And Wednesday, you're like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. So now hopefully you don't feel that way, because Ray and I are that good in the morning.
And I feel like Wednesdays
because that commercial is going to make you so happy every Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. And Wednesdays are a good point of celebration. I mean, at this point in your week, I want to make sure that we don't just, it's not as easy to focus on the negative on a Wednesday. Wednesdays are sometimes the trickiest day to power through. And we're looking now and saying, no. There's lots to celebrate. We have great things that we, can celebrate within our community, also within your week thus far. And I think a really cool thing is that we're able to talk shop about things that are relevant. So if you have a problem of practice that you want us to discuss, we're going to dive into some key reminders, some action steps you can take today to challenge yourself to be your best self, your best educator as you head into your Wednesday, but also give you some reminders to ground yourself and say, hey, we don't want you to lose your routines. A lot of people by Wednesday are maybe slowly leaning towards like not going to the gym like they've been planning, or making those choices that are not good for ourselves. And we really want to be here for you. So Wednesday should be a great time to really reset and make sure that your feet are on the ground, ready for a successful day with students.
I love it. Sounds like a good plan. We should do that.
Yes, we should. As we get into this, though, in addition to all the segments we've planned, I'd love to kind of just like catch up. Where is everyone this morning? How are you all doing? If you're willing, in the comments, we'd love to hear, what does Wednesday morning look like for you? I mean, right now it's 6:10 a.m. Central, 7:10 a.m. Eastern. I'd love to hear, what is your day like? Maybe you're already on the road headed to school? Maybe you're just pouring yourself a cup of coffee, waking up the kids. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. And Jeff, I'd love to hear how your week's been so far as they're picking their answers.
My week has been good. I'm one of those people that by Wednesday it's not worked out like you said he was going to do. Well, I didn't this morning. I thought for sure. I got up early, but just didn't. I just relaxed instead. But it's been a good week. First week of school for the kids this week, which has been fun. Jacqueline got off on January with no issues, which, I didn't sleep on Sunday, worried about her with her anxiety and stuff, but she was nervous, but was good and had a blast. Yesterday, she's like, she really was big. She wanted to walk to school on her. So they walked to school. It's like 5 minutes. We usually walk with her, and she said she wanted to walk by herself. So if you follow me on TikTok, I have a video of me creeping behind her on the bushes, because she was brave and I was proud, but I was also, part of me was like, still need me, like, Dad, I don't know. So, but it's awesome. She did great. And then she yelled at me because I met her after school. She's like, Dad, I said I wanted to walk home. And I'm like, well, the dog dragged me here. And I got out of it. So that was good. And Jonathan, this is the first year Jonathan's in a new school, so they're not together. Mm-hmm. So far, we'll see when this fades off. When he gets home, they have like the most adorable hugs because they're so excited to see each other. And I'm hoping that doesn't stop this year, because it's just getting me every day so far this week. But it's been a good week so far. It's been good. It's exciting stuff. Got team out helping schools, and new Wednesday show with Ray. Like,
great stuff.
Megan's here. Like, I don't know how else to say it's a good week.
There we go. I'm thrilled you're happy.
How about you? How are the dogs?
Everything's good on this end. I was traveling last week, working with some schools in Ohio.
Yep.
So this week has been catch-up week. To be honest, my biggest focus has not only been meeting with teachers, kind of persevering through the back-to-school anxieties, back-to-school stresses, back-to-school celebrations. I feel like that's been just in the air the last few weeks. But also getting ready for the conference. I mean, literally my to-do list is
nothing but conference.
Well, it's like 50% conference stuff, 50% content for the team. So yeah, it's been really exciting to kind of be in the end of August, because as many of you know, with our conference in mid-October, I'm working on like signage. Like, you guys will not get lost in this venue. I cannot tell you how many signs we have, so you feel supported walking through the halls of this incredible venue. And there's been so many meetings. We have a lot of different committees. Shout out to all of you who are actually like really involved in the conference planning. If you're volunteering, we so appreciate you. Those are the people that are making sure not only that the signage is hung and organized, but all the fun stuff. Like, it's been so cool to talk to our audience committee, which is led by Brianne Fennell. Shout out to Bri. And God, the work they're doing there is not only like, what kind of elements are we going to surprise our audience with? But I mean, I was in a meeting with them this week where they were talking about what Teach Better themed items they're going to put in the bathroom, so that you have like mint. And like, I just think it's going to be such a fun event to have people together feeling good. And we talk about how Wednesday is kind of like getting over the hurdle of the week. I kind of feel that way about October in general. October is
definitely
my experience has been like, that's when like the fun of the beginning of the year kind of is a little bit at a lull. Parent-teacher conferences are coming. You're into content and you need a little boost. Like, I'm very excited for the conference to add that to people's lives.
Me too. Yeah. I want to share out at some point, when we went to the conference, the venue most recently, we took pictures of all the places that we were going to put signage. And Ray on her iPad drew just very quickly, drew just so we remember like where the signs were going to be. Like, if it was on an easel, like she drew a little easel and then it was just like a square. Well, then as she's been designing those things, she's taken the pictures of those things and putting them in all these pictures. So we have like dozens and dozens and dozens of pictures that Ray's added. And I'm like, it's just, I don't know why I enjoy that so much, but you're definitely not going to get lost. That's not going to happen. because it is a big venue as far as like, I mean, it's got like 38 floors. What's it got, 6 floors?
Yeah.
And lots of elevators and stairs and stuff, but we've got you covered. Like it's going to be good. So
it's going to be so
I'm
fun.
excited.
And I will say those pictures we took, we were in the venue for what, like 8 hours, like walking through the hallways, making sure that we had everything set for you guys. This is our last time there until we all show up on, well, I mean, the event's on 13th. Or 14th. We're going to go on 13th to set it up. But we really want to make sure we got everything. So we were there, and by hour 8, snapping photos. I mean, you're not telling people to move out of the way. You're not telling people to pose. You're literally just like click, and you know it's the worst photo ever. Being able to look through them now and be like, oh, look, Jeff's like, or Katie's like, ugh. It's like so funny. And like, oh, I'm so excited that people are going to.
Oh, that's an angle we never want to have Jeff at again.
It's so good. It's so
not
good.
what we want here.
I do really love that we were able to tour and take those pictures and doodle, because they've been like the easiest way to take notes.
It was a great way to do it. Exactly. I talk about taking advantage of technology, using the iPad with the pencil. Like that's how we're going to do it until there's some cooler VR experience or something. But
no, it really worked out. So the hope would be that none of you are going to get lost. I know many of you in the comments are actually speaking at the event. And I know we have a lot of volunteers even in the comments that you guys have chosen to get involved that way. So we have a lot of good in store. But that's been a lot of my week. Yesterday I was working on room signs, right? Like to make sure that everyone has a little bit of feature. And you're going to see a lot of familiar faces on these signs. So it's going to be really fun.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it should be really good.
Good stuff.
I know we have a lot planned for the show. Do you want to transition into our first segment for Wednesday Wake Up?
We can. I wanted to give a quick shout out real quick because you mentioned that you were in Ohio training. And oddly enough, you and Dave Schmidt were both in Ohio, but like opposite ends of Ohio last week. This week, Dave's up in Michigan, and just found out like this morning, like he's up in Michigan in like his old like hometown.
Wow.
And the school he's going to, there's a couple of teachers there that are former students of his at CMU, which is really cool. So that's super exciting. That's a brand new partner school of ours up there that Dave's been a couple of days with. Chad's on the road. He's been in Ohio, but bouncing around all week as well. So lots of good stuff going on this week. Chad was out in New York last week and around Ohio and stuff too. Yeah.
I talked to him. I don't know. I guess I talked to him Monday because he's literally been home one day in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's so interesting. I know that we're all getting ready for our classrooms. Our team has been traveling like crazy because every school like kicks off on a slightly different day. Yeah. It's so interesting being able to not only be a part of kind of those back to school institute kickoffs of, keynotes and maybe some sessions, but I mean, like the one I did in Ohio, we did a 2-day intensive workshop grid training. I mean, It's not for like, I just think it's so interesting that we're not only been busy every single day in August this week, but also really providing support in a lot of different ways, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So good.
Okay, let's get into we're going to play a commercial, right? I haven't watched any of these. I'm super excited.
I know you haven't seen any.
So all you watching, I'm going to experience the commercials for the first time with you, and that was intentional. That's what I wanted to do. So if we spot any typos or anything, let me know.
Okay. Thank you very much. Livia Chan already edited all of my stuff, so I know that it's correct. I will say, though, as we transition here into one of 3 different segments we want to bring to you every single Wednesday morning on the Wednesday Wake Up, I do want to challenge you to share this feed. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, in addition to also converting this into a podcast episode, a Teach Better Talk podcast. And while we love that you're here consuming and interacting with this content, we want to make sure that you also use your power of your network to bring this to other educators. Maybe they need a dose of positivity. Maybe there's some topics we're going to dive into that they can find beneficial. But we'd love to have you share this feed if you're willing. So we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Wednesday Wake Up. I like that. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, and I said it in the right order. You're welcome, Ray.
Yes, thank you.
Super excited. This is the first time going into the teachable moment stuff, and we talked about Ray, you mentioned earlier, like we're gonna have fun on Wednesdays, obviously, and goof around, and it's gonna be what you've experienced for the last 19 minutes. I'm sorry. But we also want to try and give you something to take away and to do that. And so for me, the best practice I know in order to give our audience some value is to just ask Ray questions on the spot. If you listen to the old school Teach Better Taught, that's how I would do it too. I'd be like, hey, Ray, in 30 seconds or less, tell us this big topic and idea and stuff. So, Ray, that's what I'm planning to do. And no, I don't tell her what I'm going to ask her. So you get real, authentic Ray Hughart at this point. So
this sounds like cheating. Are you education related topics? Are you going to be like, hey, tell us about, I don't know.
Today will be education related. I won't guarantee anything for the rest. But
I'm just saying, like personal life questions, like tell us what nail color you're wearing. I did just do my nails yesterday, getting ready.
No, but I do want to know how funny it is last night in the Ambassador Voxer. I think it was Ambassador one. Alex posted the picture of you and Katie side by side on the Ambassador's PD last night, saying that he's still convinced that you're in the same room because it looks so similar. That's nothing to do with your nail color, but like when you did that, like my eyes went to your wall and I'm like, oh, that was funny.
Yeah. Anyway. If you ever see Katie Miglin live, I just want you to know the colors in person don't look anything alike because I've seen her office. But to me, I think the same thing. It kind of looks like she's a little bit of a lighter shade. So it looks like she's like across the room.
It's like the accent wall or something.
Yeah, or like the lights coming in differently on her side. But if that was the case, friends, it can't be true because we all lived in the COVID classroom where you were trying to figure out the echoing situation. We haven't had that. So we're not in the same.
That's good. That's a good point. That's a good point. So, all right, Ray, I want to get into this because I know, because I've seen it firsthand, I know how passionate you, of a teacher you were and the time and energy that you put into just like everything in your classroom, every little minute by minute, second by second of lesson planning. And I know that our audience is the same way. And like the amount of time and effort and worry and passion and nerves that go into making sure that they are giving their students the best experience ever. And then things go wrong, things change and whatever. It can be really daunting and overwhelming and stressful. So what I would like to talk, because we're at the start of the school year, most of our friends have either started or this week's the first week or maybe next week's the first week or they're within two. They're all in this moment now where they're figuring out, maybe they've been working on it for a month now at this point, but they're getting all the little details tweezed out and I'm just worried. And I've had a lot of conversations that they're overwhelmed. There's a lot of overwhelm, a lot of stress, a lot of worry, because one thing that I always love about working with teachers is that they're so passionate. Like they don't want anything to not go awesome for their kids. And so that can be really, really tough and tough to deal with. So my question to you, and I'm hoping we can get out of you today, is some ideas and tips, some tricks, whatever you want to call them, that you've taken yourself, but also that you've seen with all the teachers that you get to support all the time. What are some of the ways that we can kind of work around and to combat that overwhelm and that stress and that worry so that we can actually enjoy the work that we love and we enjoy so much? That's a big one. I'm going to give you more than 30 seconds. You got 48 seconds. Go.
I appreciate that. There's no way it's when 30 seconds.
Oh, we got time. No, we have time. But like, do you know what I'm asking? Like where I'm at? And I just, because I know you've also been able to handle this, although I've also seen you very overwhelmed too.
I've been excessively overwhelmed. We've been friends for 6 years. You've seen me at my worst, sobbing in the fetal position in the corner, being like, Jeff, I just can't do it. But here's the reality. I could give you strategies that I use myself, but we actually just also, in addition to my go-tos, had a professional development session on this for our ambassadors last night. So Melissa Magnus, who I used to teach with, she's an incredible middle school teacher, actually joined an exclusive ambassador training last night. So if you're ambassador and you missed it, don't worry, it's recorded for you in your portal in the academy. But if you're not an ambassador, that's one of the benefits of being a part of that community is you get these exclusive trainings. And it was all focused on the phases of an educator when the school year ends through the summer and the kicking off at the beginning of the year, the excitement, the nerves, the anxiety, the stresses, but the thrill of a new school year. And also how to manage it, right? So a big takeaway from yesterday's training I really enjoyed was the honesty. I don't know a better word. It was the honesty of our facilitator reflecting on the fact that she really loved who she's able to be over the summer. She's a little bit more carefree. I know that in her personal life, she's planning a wedding, so she's able to do some personal organization in her life over the summer and celebrate these big moments in her life. And she was nervous going into the school year, thinking, yeah, I love being a teacher. I love working with students, but I don't want to lose the other side of me that I feel like I only get over the summer. So with a mix of strategies, including she was reflecting on being in therapy, having that be a big support for her. But there are some important things we can do to not only support ourselves, but support others in making it a successful beginning of school year, but school year holistically. So I love that we're talking about this. And I know this is a conversation happening in multiple communities within the Teach Better family, not only within the ambassadors, but other places as well. So I think it's important. As we dive into this topic, I'd love to hear from you in the comments if any of you have go-to strategies that you guys lean on to not only ensure that you balance the stress of the new school year, but maybe something that keeps you really grounded as you move throughout the month of August. We'd love to see them. Jeff, I know that a lot of people always go to balancing your routine. I know that's big for you, making sure you work out in the morning, making sure that you kind of get those moments throughout your day that boost you up. For me, the calendar is a big one, right? Always scheduling your calendar so that you intentionally have time for yourself. We've discussed this before, that the first person you blow off is what you were going to do for yourself, right? It's not typically something you were going to do to serve somebody else. So how have you been able to make sure that your calendar kind of supports you in your day?
Well, I think you just touched on it. Is the word intention, so intentionality, which I don't know if that's cliche or what, but like that's the reality of it. And setting those boundaries now, to like Melissa shared last night, of opportunities to remember who you are, when that you're not just someone who is in a classroom that does that. You have other parts of your life, and those parts feed into this part and make you an amazing teacher, and vice versa. And so I think really being intentional about finding opportunities to remember the other things in your life that you love and that you enjoy, and that it's okay that you love and enjoy those things, and that you do those things and love and enjoy those things through the year. That doesn't, you know what I mean? Like when you were talking about that, when Melissa was talking about like that, she feels like through the year, the school year, she doesn't have that. And to me, I'm like, I don't want that for anybody. Like you need to have that all year long. The difference is in the summer, you might have a little bit extra flexibility in your schedule to do things, but you need to feel like that all year long, because I think that being things that you love and that you care about that make you who you are is what makes you an amazing teacher. You already know your craft. You already know how to do the things you need to do from a technical standpoint as a teacher. It's you that brings it in and makes it special for your kids. So like, I think it's really important to stay intentional of the things that continue to help make you, to do that. I don't know if that was a lot of use, but
no. And it was interesting yesterday. I think that these top level conversations, right? Like, give yourself a break. Don't live in your classroom. Go home after contract hours. Like, those all sound great. And I don't think there's a single person in the comments that'll be like, oh yeah, that's a terrible idea. But the problem is, in the moment, it's a hard decision to make. You feel like it's not an option for you. And so what I value yesterday, and with a lot of the discussions I know we can have moving forward, we really need those tangible action steps. Like, I don't just want to hear the big high philosophy of what we should do in the classroom ever. I want to go with our action steps. What's something I can actually do to be better in this area, and also like check it off my to-do list so that I can feel like I'm making growth, like taking a step in the right direction. A big suggestion yesterday is, she's like, hey, you should leave always at your contract hours. But because sometimes you can't and you feel like that's really hard to do cold turkey, give yourself permission to do it twice a week. Maybe you decide this year that Tuesdays and Thursdays, regardless of what's going on in your school year, you are leaving at 3:00 or 4:00, whenever your school day ends. And if that means that you need to stay a little bit later on Wednesday, that's okay. If that's what you need to be successful, if that's what you need to make this transition, fine. But put in those small little benchmarks. Maybe not every day if you don't feel like you can do it, but small little benchmarks that says, on Tuesday nights, on Tuesdays after school, I'm leaving, and I'm going to give myself permission to not feel guilt. that's going to be a part of my day. And that kind of leads us into our next strategy we can get into in a second, which is I think there's two categories of why it's hard to leave at the end of the day. Either it's the guilt, which we kind of just discussed, or it's that you can't figure out how to structure your day so you don't have a lot to take home at the end of the day. And that can be kind of the next thing we talk about.
I want to touch on because we're talking about when Melissa talked about like I think goes to the intention. You're intentionally putting those things in your calendar. Now, if you're like me, saying on Tuesdays and this day or whatever, that doesn't necessarily work for me because I don't know that next Tuesday is going to be the day where everything goes to hell. But I look at how I track when I try to cut things out of my diet stuff. Similar there, you could do the same thing that Ray was talking about, but if you don't want to do in the specific days, you can do the number of days, which is 2 days this week. And now you're checking off. I got day 1, I left at my contract hours. Oh, Friday was day 2, I've done that. And then you build from there, because then you try to get to 3, then you try to get and eventually, before you know it, you're going to build the mental defense against the guilt. Because where I struggle is to give myself permission, because I'm like, well, if I give myself permission, I wouldn't feel guilty. Like that's right. So like but to Ray's point, if you're doing it just like twice and you start nice and small, and like sometimes you're allowed to, like those 2 days, you're allowed to leave within 15 minutes of your contract, but you can't go more than a half hour or whatever that is, to start small, to start building your mind, because you got to build that muscle of fighting that guilt, because it's your love for what you do that does that. Sometimes it's pressure from other places, but start putting that. If you can do that a little bit at a time, come the start of January, so you might be at the point where you're always leaving that 3 days a week and you're never feeling the guilt because you've built up that I mean, it's just like working out, you build up that routine and that muscle. And I think that's hard to do, but really, really important to do. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think like this is, again, like you speak about something in a perfect world, but then in reality, it doesn't end up quite working the same way. I don't know that I could do the Tuesday, Thursday rule either, because the moment you do that, your back to school night is going to be scheduled for Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well, and because but I love the goal of 2, because then you could also on Sunday night, probably when you're tuning in to see Brad Hughes for our Sunday weekly warm up, you could look at your week and say, okay, the only thing I need to do Sunday night is know what 2 days I'm heading home after the bell rings. And so that could be something that you plan specific to your schedule. I mean, it's personal, but my personal life looks very different this year than it has in the past. And there's intentional days now throughout the week where I'm like, I can't work this night. I know there's something going on that is in my personal life that I need to be a part of, that I don't want to miss. And I think it's okay to give ourselves permission to have it change week to week, as long as we still find those 2 moments to say, nope, I'm leaving at contract hours today.
Well, and that's why I personally say just make it a number, because sometimes Thursday's the day you have to do extra work. Right. Like, to say that you can just give yourself permission and not do it, it's just not true. Because when I talk about harmony, like the reality is sometimes work's got to take the lead, and that's just the way it is. That's in every profession, everywhere. But like, if you're able to hit 2 a week, and then 3, and then 4, before you know it, you're taking Fridays off. Not really, but like, you know what I mean? Is then because what you're going to force yourself to do also is you're going to then need to, in order to do that, you have to then look for opportunities. How do I be more efficient with the time that I have? How do I set myself up better, which is some of the stuff that you mentioned we might go into, so that you can more easily do 2 and then do 3 and then do 4. And if you put those 2 together, again, by the end of the first semester or next year or whatever, it's not going to feel like as much of a challenge.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be easy. It's just going to be easier.
So I will tell you, I know the guilt factor is a huge element in our community, right? I have had educators tell me for years that guilt is the reason they can't leave. I will admit, yes, I have had guilt about leaving before. For me, though, that's not the reason I'm not leaving at contract hours. Like, that's really not. And I don't know if it's my personality. Maybe I'm heartless and the guilt is not creeping in the same way. But for me, it's planning. It's not that I feel guilty leaving after the bell. It's that I don't know how to leave because I have a pile of work to do. And so it's not a lack of interest. It's a concern around the fact that I cannot figure out how someone is able to leave and still be a successful teacher the following day. I remember this, my first year teaching. Obviously, you go to school and you learn all the perfect ways to be a teacher, right? Like, here are the best practices that are supported by research that every successful teacher should do every single day with kids. And I'd look at this list and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to conference with students every day. I know I'm supposed to not stand at the front of the room and talk for 45 minutes. I know I'm supposed to personalize my students' learning experience. I'm not opposed to any of those ideas, but how do I do it? Because I don't know any other strategy. And I think that that's where this other element of finding balance and giving yourself time at the end of the day to leave at contract hours comes in. It's that you need a strategy. You need to change something about how you work currently that accommodates for this. And for me, this is where I started getting into choice boards and eventually the grid method. Is I needed to find a way to do two things. And this was the two biggest priorities for me in terms of workload and the work I was taking home. Is I need to be able to front load some of my lesson planning that still allows me to be responsive to student needs, but kind of know where I'm going far before I get there. And then the other element is I need to be able to grade and provide feedback in a timely manner, but during my contract hours, not when I take grading home with a glass of wine and I'm reading through 55 essays to give feedback. So some of those two elements, depending on if you're listening right now, which one may suit you, they have solutions. We would love to offer you some Teach Better solutions for how you can be better in these two areas. But I think it comes down to identifying the problem, and then we can work through, the grid method. Yes. Well, we're also on a podcast, Jeff, so you need to speak up loud, not just.
Oh, sorry. I was holding my grid method mug from way back in the day up to the camera. Those of you who are listening now, you can visualize it. I don't know. You're welcome.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just important. I think that all of us are in different spots in our journey. And, I'm excited for, as we head into the new school year, the freedom to ask questions when we have them, because there are solutions to whatever dilemma you are currently, persevering through. We just need to make sure that once we identify it, we connect you with the right people that can get you the right solution. So.
And last thing I'm going to say is Alex has mentioned reaching out to your instructional coach if you have one. Just in general, when you figure out where you need to go and what you need help with, reach out. I think teachers too often think they need to know everything and be awesome, and it's okay. Everyone's trying to figure it out.
So fun. So good. Jeff, I know that we kind of said we were going to transition here into our next segment around this time frame. I think this is a good time to do that because our spotlight kind of lends into some of this.
I like it.
All right, we'll be right back. Morning, everyone. We are back with our Wednesday Wake Up Morning Show where the Teach Better team is live on Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern. I almost just said every single day, and that's not true.
I was waiting for it.
It's only on Wednesdays. I'm getting back to the meeting, friends. It's the daily drop-in that haunts me, that I'm like, good morning, everyone. We're here every single morning. We are here every single Wednesday morning to get you set for your week. We are currently in our second segment where we are looking at a community spotlight. And this was really important to us because as we are planning our Wednesday Wake Up live stream, we not only wanted to be able to give you actionable steps so you can pursue a successful week as an educator heading into a wonderful Wednesday, but we also want to make sure that we're connecting you with people outside of our network. This won't necessarily be a show that you come to for a lot of interviews. You're going to see a lot of familiar faces on Wednesday Wake Up. Not only Jeff and I, but Dr. Dave Schmitto should be on the show. Chad Rashowski is going to join the show. We have Katie Miglin and Joshua Stamper. These are faces of the Teach Better team that you are so familiar with already. And we do that for a lot of reasons. But we, in addition to seeing our faces and us being able to interact with you each Wednesday morning, we also want to make sure you have people that you are growing your PLN with. And so in addition to the people being featured on our Sunday weekly warm-up show, we also want to make sure that you have people that you can go follow on Twitter on Wednesday to help you be successful. So today's is really easy because who better to highlight than our fearless leader, Jeff, I think you know him, Mr. Chad Ostrowski. Do you know?
Heard of him. Heard of the guy. Yes.
So we reached out to Chad and we asked him his biggest passion in education. For those of you who don't know Chad Ostrowski, he is the CEO and co-owner of the Teach Better team. And he is, I mean, I can honestly say that this man has completely changed my life. But in addition to his work, every single teacher aims to reach their students 100% of the time. That passion, drive, and dedication keeps me going each day as he works with different schools and just supporting teachers. And I love Chad's passion because I can personally say he's directly impacted my success in education, and that's been huge. So tell me a little bit, Jeff. First off, I hope that as we show Chad's face on screen, y'all can hear us. I'm pretty sure that our audio doesn't go away when we do that.
I think we're still there.
I'm like almost positive. But second of all, Jeff, obviously you knew Chad before I did. How did you meet Chad? Tell us a little bit of backstory.
Oh, first off, I love his shirt.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're wearing the exact same shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fun. Boy, yeah. So I actually know Chad from. I'll do this shorter than whatever, but because I'm not good at short normally. But I actually know Chad from a previous life when I owned my record label, and Chad was actually in a band that I signed under a management contract. I managed his band for a while, and then after that and everything, we ended up being friends, coaching soccer together and stuff. And then he came to me with an idea of maybe creating one of those ebook thingies for this new way of teaching that he had started doing in his classroom. At the time, it wasn't called the grid method. It was just how he taught in his classroom. And he called them grids, but like that was as far as he got. And that's how we met. And that was almost 8 years ago now. And I said, dude, we're not just doing an ebook. And for some reason he said, okay. And here we are. Like, that's the short version. If you want the long version, come to the conference, catch me at one of the networking events, and I will give you the long version. But and there's a lot of fun stuff in that long version, by the way. But
or read the Teach Better book. We did.
Or read the book. Yeah, we talk about it quite a bit in the book. Yeah, I'll give you the director's cut.
No, but I do love you and Chad. I know when you started the team together, I mean, while you had a vision for wanting to impact education, you didn't necessarily have a plan of what this would look like currently in 2022, right?
No.
If you would have asked yourself back in 2015, hey, Jeff, what is the Teach Better team? Which at the time wasn't even that name, but
it was just the grid method. We just
what does the community look like in 2022? I don't know that you thought you'd be live on a Wednesday morning at 7 a.m., to
no.
this, but big celebrations here, and shout out to Chad and the work that he's done over the last almost 8 years to impact educators. We're going to run out of time here in a minute, but I mean, he dramatically changed the trajectory of my success in the classroom, and so appreciate him.
I'm just going to say it. Chad, good job not sucking, buddy.
Good. So good.
He's in a school right now too, or while on his way. So yeah, anyway, now my mind's going with the question of what did we think it looked like back then? Catch me at the conference. I'll tell you about that too.
Yeah, we have so many different things we can highlight about Chad, but if you are not currently following Chad Ostrowski on Twitter, or you're looking to reach out to him, we have his email as well. This is an incredible educator that if you are not following his journey, this man is constantly on the road supporting educators, and he is truly at the foundation of everything that we've built. So shout out to Chad and the work he's doing. Jeff, before we wrap up the show, though, we do have a morning challenge for everyone. So in addition to following Chad, let's get into our morning challenge.
Welcome back to the Wednesday Wake Up. We're wrapping up with a challenge. I love this. I'm loving all the videos, Ray. Excellent work. If you're listening on a podcast, you got to go back and watch the replay just for the videos. You can skip all of us. That's fine. We are live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and LinkedIn. I don't know why I put an and in between each one of those, but I did. And here we are. So, Ray, I want to do a challenge. So I think one of the things we talked about is we really wanted some actual takeaways and some steps that people could take to finish the week strong. And so the idea of challenge. So I'm going to go back to sort of, I don't know if there's a theme of today, but what we've kind of talked about in this idea of right now, start of the year, you are all just busting butt. You've been going for I don't know how many weeks now, getting things prepared, getting into your classrooms early, staying late to decorate or set up or make those little tweaks you need to do, doing all the things that you do because you are so passionate about what you do. And I love you all for that. I'm so honored to get to work with you for that. But it's also very dangerous because if you set the precedent of doing that all the time, I worry that contrary to what we talked about earlier, you're never going to be able to get that balance or that harmony back. So my challenge this week for you is to set your boundaries right now. And I say that because it's really hard to do that right now, which means if you can do it right now, you're going to set yourself up. So think about what we talked about earlier, maybe looking for that, setting that goal of like, hey, 2 days a week, I'm out at my contract hours. It doesn't matter if it's a Monday, Friday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. Focus on that. Or if your mind needs you to pick the 2 specific days because it works better, that's fine too. And if it's one day, that's okay too. Start where you need to do, but set your boundaries, whatever those might look like for you, and do that now so that you can work with those and continue to be the awesome you outside of the classroom, which helps you be the amazing you inside the classroom. So my challenge is set your boundaries now. And my second part of that challenge is to tweet out to the team at Teach Better Team and let us know. If you want, you can just say, I set my boundaries, and do that. If you want to share how or what you're doing, that's awesome as well. If you're not comfortable going out to the team, putting it out there, just DM me or Ray and let us know. But I'd really love to see you put that out there, hashtag Teach Better, and just set those boundaries, set yourself up so that you can stay successful for yourself as well as your students.
I will say, in addition to that, Jeff, we have a lot of people that have been tweeting out over the last 45 minutes that are saying that one of the boundaries, one of the routines they're setting for themselves is that they are setting an alarm for Wednesday wake up every single week. And also our Sunday weekly warm up happening on Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern in our private Facebook group over at teachbettergroup.com. Those are 2 ways for you to get a little bit of boost of reminders of positivity, boost of energy, and also great ways for us to continue to pursue being better educators. So great things there.
I love it.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming live with me. I know our show.
Thanks for having me.
45 minutes. It only rushed. I mean, I can't believe we went so quick through this. We're kind of all wrapping up, but I'm excited to do this next week with you.
Me too. We'll see you next week. Have an amazing rest of your week and a weekend, and reach out if you need anything. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Bye, friends. See you later. We're still live.
It didn't end.
This button didn't work. Whatever. It's still going.
It's still like spinning, not ending.
It's just it doesn't want us to.
If you're still here, you psych. I don't know.
I love it. This is. It says having trouble. Please connect to internet. End broadcast. It won't let me end it.
Just put Chad's face back up, and we'll go and we'll just leave that up all day.
No, but they can hear us. That's true.
No, well, we can mute it, and we'll just turn off and just put Chad's up, and everybody can be like, "Oh, look, Chad." That way, if you're feeling bad at any moment throughout the day, you just go back and you're like, "Oh, Chad."
Maybe you should try clicking the button. It just doesn't.
Let me try. Okay, if this works, we'll see you later. Otherwise, we'll hang out. Let's see if I can do it. I'm clicking, and here we go.